Endless multiverse, endless multiverse, endless multiverse, episode 32. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Endless Multiverse, episode number 32. And we're here today with a very special episode of Endless Multiverse. And I think it's pretty obvious about the title and everything, but we are doing our Gotham Retrospective today on today's show. All the topics are going to be covering the show Gotham. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show. Of course, Chainsaw and Andy here with you guys. Sorry, Andy.
Andy.
Not Andrew.
Not
And
Andrew.
we have 8 topics we're going to go through today in regards to the Gotham series. Some including pre-expectations before the show aired, pilot, Bruce and Jim Gordon, villains and the sort, and talking about the bat suit and everything. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting show for sure. And like I said, we're covering Gotham. When we get to Q&A, we're hoping to be more Gotham centric, but we'll open up to you guys whatever you want to talk about. But yeah, we're talking Gotham. We've been playing this for a while. Are you excited for this episode?
I am. It's just been a long week, so I'm just very, very, very tired. Yeah, no, I'm. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what everyone thinks about. Yeah, because we usually talk about the airways a lot and so on the show, but Gotham we don't really get that much of an opportunity to talk about it. So it will be interesting to see what comes of it.
Oh, yes. So, as you guys know, we always start the show with a certain DC character, and we had to keep a tradition. We can't not have him start the show. So, Constantine, take it away.
All right, then. On with the show.
It's actually okay to play him because there actually was a gigantic Comic-Con panel with a bunch of DC shows, and Constantine was on the stage.
I remember that was
as Gotham material.
It was the Hall H with Arrow, Gotham, Constantine, and the Flash. Yeah, and I remember poor Matt Ryan was like, "Why can't we show like our pilot?" And then they were like, "Okay, we will do it."
But yeah, I remember seeing that. So it kind of ties in. So we have 8 topics we're going to get into. We're actually getting to first our pre-expectations of the series before it actually aired. Now, I've told Andy this before, and I've spoke about this before in live streams in the past, that I was actually against this show when it was first announced. And it wasn't because I'm just against anything prequel. It's just the fact that I didn't want another show that just wasn't a Batman show. I wanted a Batman show. Obviously, I was being ridiculous. And it took me till season 1 being added to Netflix the same day the season 2 premiere was coming on Fox for me to actually start watching the show. I was being pestered by many people, including a reactor at the time, and she was very adamant for me to watch the show. I gave it a shot, and I'm here today as someone who loves this show. But I was against it. I was. But I'm so glad that I actually gave it that shot, because if I didn't, I would have missed out on something great. I really would have. But that was me. I was just against it. But I was closed-minded. Okay, I'll admit it. I was wrong. But I'm having the same thing with the Gotham Knights show. But I'm still gonna see what happens. But when I heard about this young Bruce Wayne show and it's a Gordon show, I'm like, what? And I was wrong. Andy, what was your pre-expectations of the show when you first heard about it? Because I'm curious, when did you hear about it? Because I heard about it when they made the announcement.
I heard about it the night it was announced, because it was slightly controversial a little bit at the time, because what had happened was, so this was a night when Age of S.H.I.E.L.D. had premiered, and about 10 minutes after the episode had aired, Deadline posted that Fox was looking at doing a Gotham type of series, and I remember it was like, first of all, wow, you're just trying to steal the thunder, but 2, this is a fucking disastrous idea. But then I started thinking more about it as the months started going on, and kind of just again, like we started learning more information about the show, and like just how much Fox had invested into the show. There's a character rights and whatnot, and I always like Ben McKenzie, so when he got cast score, I'm like, okay, maybe this is something. Maybe this might be something. And then the more they kind of whatever all the characters they announced and the cast, whatever, so on, it became very evident to me like this show is like perfect for me because this is essentially Smallville in a lot of ways. Um, and you know, and it's funny because like I don't know, this was back in 1999. They actually were trying to do like a Bruce Wayne TV show that was like exactly like Smallville. That's actually how Smallville was created because like they wrote a script had been written, whatever, and so on, and then because Warner Bros. Like we like Batman in the movies, we like money, we like money in the movies, so they forbid Warner Bros. TV to do it, but that's how they that's that same president of Warner Bros. TV at the time was like, well, why don't we just take this concept and do it for Superman? So and then Gotham happened all these years later, and there's like similarities between the two projects. So but like yeah, like the more like as we got closer to it, like we're like seeing stuff at Comic-Con and just all the characters that we're announcing, and then again being a Ben McKenzie fan that I was like, you know what, like I will definitely I will at least check it out for him. And yeah, so it was like it didn't take me long to be convinced to tune into the show, but it was very like I just wish it had been on the night when Shield had premiered because I was just like, come on, just because everyone was already shitting on Agents of Shield, and I was like, can we just let them have this one night without DC trying to meddle? So
yeah, I mean it was definitely interesting for sure, but like I remember hearing about the characters they were going to be introducing and bringing in, the casting and everything. And I had heard of Ben McKenzie before I watched the show, but I was just against it. And, and the thing was, I started hearing people start talking about it when it started airing and saying it was actually solid and people were actually enjoying it. And I was just so adamant. I was so against it. I was just like, no, I don't want to watch this. And yeah, it took me till the season 2 premiere for it to go to Netflix for me to go, fine, I'll watch it. And I think that dives into our next topic, which you'll be heading up as the pilot episode, because that was the game changer for me.
Yeah, so we're talking and so just so everyone knows, we're not going to go through every single episode of the whole series. So, but we're starting with the pilot, and then at the end of later in the discussion, we'll talk about the series finale. But the pilot it was. I remember it was it did pretty well in ratings, and but Fox had put in a lot of money into that marketing. I remember just again like. Because I was trying to just imagine like what is this show going to be like, like what is going to be like visiting Gotham City every week, and this pilot like it doesn't waste any time getting to the meat of it of like this is what these are the characters, this is the mythology we're setting up. The Waynes are they're bye. But what did you initially think about it?
Well, I remember obviously it opening and we see the Waynes and everything and that whole thing. But what I think was interesting is, like you said, it wastes no time. It didn't feel like it was slow. It felt like they were using the time to build up, to kind of explain where everybody's kind of at the moment. And of course, Bruce going through this very tragic thing, of course, as we know. And also too, if it wasn't for the pilot being as engaging as it was, at least for me, then I would have not continued to watch season 1 because I was so adamant against it that the pilot made me go, okay. And I thought, okay, I'll give it some more. Because usually when it's a show, I usually try to see if 2 or 3 episodes. And then if I'm not really feeling it, I won't continue. But that pilot was definitely interesting because I wasn't expecting where the show was going because I was avoiding a lot of it. I just wasn't seeing much. The only thing I really saw before I actually gave the show a shot was the Joker scene I think it was episode 16 of season 1, which was Jerome, the whole turning point, and I did a reaction to that. But other than that, I just never saw anything. But that pilot definitely worked because the show has a lot, like, covered so many things and so many characters that I think the pilot handled pretty well. All of the, at least introducing all these characters and giving you some sort of idea of who they are and where they may go within at least the first season. And obviously, when you watch the show, there's so many things they do with these characters. It's like ridiculous, but it worked because I think the pilot established that this show is going to get weird, or it could go that direction. And I think it really worked. It really worked for me because, yeah. And like Heroes Journey said, the pilot was proof that the show was different, but in an interesting different. Exactly. I felt like it worked because of that, because it wasn't afraid to go in certain areas. And then, of course, later on, I felt like the later episodes kind of reinforced the pilot's introduction in terms of where the tone of the show was going to go. So it worked for me.
Yeah, for me, like, because at that point, this was kind of just at the, the early days of the DCTV era. Arrow had come out 2 years before that. Flash was coming the same fall, as was Constantine. So for me, it was, again, like, going to I wasn't really sure what to expect in terms of, like, we're not gonna, because we're not gonna have any heroes, really, in the, in the beginning. So the heroes are really, I don't like to say, cops, the cops would be heroes, because, GCPD are some of the most corrupted police organization that exists in the whole DC universe. But, because the people talked about, like, oh, this show is kind of pulling in a little bit from, the Gotham Central comics that came in and so on. And initially, I enjoyed the pilot, but I feel like the show became something completely different in season 2, because, like, when you look at the first episode and then the rest of the season, it's very procedural. It is very much like your NCIS or your Criminal Minds or whatever, so on, but just for Gotham. And and there was a lot more focus on the GCPD crew. We had Crispus Allen and Renee Montoya and so on. There was a lot more focus on the GCPD, and then villains were kind of there, like, in the background, and then it kind of flipped on its head in season 2. But the pilot is good. It's so weird. I mean, like, again, just to throw up this image again, it is so bizarre watching David Mazouz as that little tiny boy again. And, like, his scream is, like, it's very jarring. Like when he's just, like, it takes him, like, a hot minute before he realizes, oh my fucking god, my parents are dead.
He played it very well. I mean, that was his opening scene, really. Like, that was.
Yeah, we didn't even see the whole Zorro thing and anything. Like, we just see them coming out, as far as I remember. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see what the pilot would have looked like if they knew that the show was going to be what it was in season 2 and 3, 4, 5, and so on. I wonder what the pilot would have looked like. Like, would we have had? Would we have had maybe a more a prominent Batman villain somehow present? Because we in the pilot we really get into Oswald out of all of them, and Fish Mooney, of course. But Fish Mooney was an original character, but yeah, it's a good pilot. It's a good pilot, but I definitely wonder what it will look like if it been made today. And then also, like, with the idea of, well, this is the kind of way we're going to do the show. Like, would the GCPD maybe not even have been a factor? Would have been mainly been told from the villain's perspectives, with Bruce Wayne, like, in like the distant center, if that makes sense.
Yeah, with your whole point about being made today, I wonder how they would have made it today if it was, say, an HBO Max original, like 8-10 episode season, and they
like
got
60 minutes.
And they got like an hour-ish to tell their story, or like there was no like broadcast standard limit. They had to do like 40-ish minutes. They were able to kind of do what they want. I think that would have been interesting for sure. I think they would have maybe established roughly what they did in the pilot, but I feel like they would have been able to expand on some things that maybe was in the pilot, but they had to cut due to time. You never know. But yeah, I really felt like that pilot definitely kept me intrigued because if that pilot didn't work, I don't know. Because I was so against it, I probably would have dropped it and never would have seen where the show actually went. But then I caught up with everything, binging it on Netflix like less than a week, then catching it on Hulu, and then I was caught up and I kept up with the show until it ended. Yeah, the pilot was great. Ready to jump to the next topic, sir?
Yep, that's all you.
Okay. We are jumping into two characters that if these characters didn't land well, the show would have flopped. We're talking Bruce Wayne and Jim Gordon. Now, obviously, with the show's introduction, the main focus was Jim Gordon. He was the main character, and he technically was the main character throughout the entirety of the show. But over time, David, aka Bruce Wayne, on the show got more screen time. And
I'm just going to point out it's David because we would sometimes get corrected in the press room. So yeah, I'm just
okay. I'll just stick with Bruce because that's who he is. So, but it was Jim kind of the main focus, and he stayed the main character, but they were giving Bruce more to do as David aged up. And I think it really worked for several reasons. Number one, they both worked as characters without having their relationship or their connection in the show, obviously setting up in the pilot, but they also worked really well together, especially towards the end of the series, because Bruce, they were heavily involving him in storylines. And I felt like if Gordon, Ben McKenzie is a great actor, but if Gordon wasn't landing well, the show would have not continued. It just wouldn't have worked because he was the main thing that was bringing everything together, in my opinion, because everything else could have been great. But if we're not really caring about the main character, it's not gonna, like, the show is just not gonna work because he was connected to a lot of things. And then once you start throwing Bruce in and giving him more to do as he got older, and then started really hinting at the Batman stuff. I'm thinking on season 3, a particular episode where I believe it's episode 14, they had a point where he gave his "I will not kill," and they had this epic Batman theme play behind it when he's talking to Alfred. They started doing more of that for his character. And so them separately, they were great. And then together, I think they even made the show better because they were putting them together and really establishing their relationship. And I don't know if this is true, but I just think that Gordon kind of knew who was in the Batsuit at the end of the finale. That's just my prediction. I don't know if that's true, but it felt like he knew that it was Bruce. I don't know. But the show worked because those two characters work so well apart and together. That's what I honestly think. How did you feel about Bruce and Jim on the show?
Well, it was interesting because they always made it seem like that Bruce wasn't gonna be that big of a role on the show initially. That he was very much so much of Jim, and I think maybe that changed for whatever reason. So on, and also I think it also got easier the older he got as an actor, the more they could do with him. Because he was still probably going to school and shit like that and so on. So but I remember because if when you're dealing with Gotham City and you're dealing with this particular era of Gotham, like before Batman even exists, there's not a lot of good people around. Like Bullock, listen, he's very, very, very high kind of gross. He Bullock is, we know he's corrupt, and we know he is problematic and so on. We know that he wants to do good, but he wants to do it in his own ways and so on. But it's like, if Jim didn't work, who the fuck would we have to follow on this show? Because like this wouldn't be an Alfred show. That would happen a couple of years later. But but like they knew, like, because I remember I talked to I talked about McKenzie a few times, and I always remembered that. What this show always, because for me, like, what I've always wondered about Jim Gordon as a character is what the fuck makes him want to stay in the city? Why does he, out of everyone in this town, not give up hope on saving Gotham? And this pilot, the show, if there's anything the show nailed, it is Jim Gordon's ultimate optimism. Now with Bruce, I think again, David is a fucking natural talent. I think the older he got and the more he could do, because you know, you always wonder like what can they actually do, like what can they actually show Bruce Wayne on broadcast television that it is, because we all know that whether you've read the comics, if you've seen the movies, or you've played the video games, so we know that Bruce does not have an easy childhood, and
No.
the show, they okay, like let's think about it. He got kidnapped multiple times. He got cloned.
The show.
Remember the hair?
Yeah, the bad wig. Flashbacks of Oliver's wig.
And it was like, what was it that people were saying? I think people were calling him like Bizarro Bruce or something like that, because like initially he couldn't like really talk. It was really freaky. But it was hilarious. He got they had the kid, the clone, like freaking replace him, and then Bruce got sent to the it was like precursor to League of Assassins, whatever you want to call it. Where he was training, he was gonna like lock away his pain, and I'm like, and then Bruce would come back and he would start, jumping around rooftop. I mean, again, there's a lot of dark shit that goes on with this kid, and that's what I loved a lot about it. So, but yeah, like for me, I've always looked at Jim and Bruce as this is the old, and I remember people like I got shit for saying this, but I always saw Bruce more as Gordon as a surrogate father to Bruce than I ever did with Alfred. Alfred is a different type of guardian, a different type of parent in his life. But Gordon is like that. He is that surrogate father that took Bruce under his wing, and I think that, again, because they very much. I mean, I think they very much played as father and son, even though the characters weren't related. So
that's a good point. I didn't even think about that, because like that's kind of like, of course, like what kind of relationship could they have realistically, like a friendship? And I see that point because he was there when Bruce's parents were murdered. Like he was the first cop to talk to him. I think even Harvey said, "Don't go talk to him," and then he was already going over there. So I could definitely see that for sure, because Gordon had a really bad. Like, it seemed like him and his father's relationship wasn't the best, obviously based on what they did with the show. So I can kind of see that aspect of it, because like he was very protective of Bruce, because he knew, because of course he knew Alfred was there for him, but only one man can do so much, and so Gordon, like, I didn't even think about that. The whole idea of like him looking at him as a, like a son, or like someone he really wants to help, like not just, okay, well, sorry your parents died because whatever. He really tried to help him, and all the stuff that happened, like I said, all the bad stuff that happened to Bruce, Gordon's like always there trying to save him in one way or another. So yeah,
I remember the season when like they were doing interviews and they were talking about like, well, Bruce is gonna be a teenager this year. Ben, like, how are you gonna deal with it? He's like, yeah, that's gonna be quite something. Yeah, no, I mean, again, and the reason we're highlighting these two characters specifically is, it's like, again, like, I mean, yes, I think Sean Pertwee's Alfred is one of the best Alfreds we've ever had. And also, for all you Doctor Who fans out there, that's the third Doctor's son playing Alfred, which is kind of iconic. Like, I need you to Google Sean Pertwee and then his father, and like, actually, you know what? Let's do a little Shades on React here for a moment. Search his father, Sean Pertwee, and his father, and look side by side, and you're gonna look how freakishly alike they look.
Let's see. That's a sin. How do you spell his last name?
P-E-R-T.
Yep.
And then we, as in we.
And father. Oh wow.
right?
Yeah. Pretty close. Yeah, yeah, that's close. That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like crazy identical.
Yeah. So like when he was cast as Alpha, I remember like, where people were like, the doctor, like the third Doctor's son, is going to play Alfred. So that's pretty iconic. But yeah, no, but like yeah, I mean yes, Alfred and Gordon in many ways are there's both surrogate fathers, but I think there's a definite special type of bond between Bruce and Jim. And I know like for hardcore Batman fans out there, they're like this is like blasphemy to them. They're like, he's not supposed to know him when he's this young. He's not supposed to be this integral. But it's like, but that's kind of what made the show special.
It was a unique take on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the important thing to look at all of these properties in a lot of ways. Is that the Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Legend Smart, well, not Legend Smart because it's not based on anything, but like Batman, all these things that we see, it's very much worth look at it as this is an Elseworlds take on it. It's not gonna be exactly like the DC universe that you read in the comics, so on. It's gonna be it'll be different and so on. I think Gotham, they in a lot of ways, they had fun with the mythology. I think that's it's something we can talk. We can kind of actually now talk about in the villains. I had so much fun looking for like old images and so on because I this was one of the shows I covered professionally all the time. So I was always like like getting all the latest photos and posters and whatever and so on. But I haven't looked at them in a couple years. So revisit them today. I'm like, holy crap, they were not kidding around. And Jordan, we had a lot of villains on the show, a lot of them.
Understatement. Yes.
Would you like? Let me ask you this: like, do you think before we talk about like the villains that we love and so on, um, do you think it was? Did it go too much on the Batman villains, or were you like, you know what, Gotham City is like like a magnet for these villains, so why not?
Well, the way they established, I mean, look, if you think about it in the comics, Gotham is in a shit place for so long that Bruce takes up the mantle, become Batman to be the savior that it needs. He becomes the Dark Knight. So with Gotham the show, they have a chance instead of in the comics where they brush past Bruce's childhood after the death of the Waynes and they just get to him either year one or whatever, they jump into whatever. They don't show all the times that he's just been Bruce Wayne in Gotham with all this mayhem going on. So what this show did was it gave us all that. It gave all the reasons why these villains or people that would become villains are popping up, or why they're in Gotham, why they're showing up. And so, I mean, yeah, it is on HBO Max. And I would say that to answer your question, did they go too far? I guess it depends on what you expected the Gotham show to do, because at a certain point, if all they're doing is police procedural without any Batman villains or any sort of, because Bruce has an origin, why can't these other villains? Why can't the villains have an origin in a sense? Now, obviously, some didn't. Some had a lot of buildup. Riddler had a lot. Penguin had a lot. But Mr. Freeze, not so much. But they did set up his origin. Scarecrow, not a lot, but they did set up his origin.
Scarecrow that was just so weird, like how many times they kept recasting him. I mean, we will get to Poison Ivy later on, but it's
it's a thing to where the show has to establish all these different characters, because if there isn't any major crime in the Gotham prequel show, this show is a prequel show to him becoming Batman. If there is hardly anything going on besides just petty crimes, why does he become Batman? Why does he leave for 10 years to go train? You have to do a lot of setup to explain why he goes away and comes back and why he has to protect Gotham. So to me, it wasn't too much, but I can understand from somebody who's like, well, this is just getting ridiculous because this is, like, they're supposed to be the villains. Well, they had to start somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say, the reason I was okay with it is because one of the things I loved with Smallville, and like Jordan, I wish to God that you would actually just watch Smallville from start to finish. Like, I think there's so much fun you would have reacting to that show.
I did watch the first batch of season 1. I stopped. I just couldn't. It just. I think I can't remember what the episode was. I was just like, nah, I'm good. I just couldn't do it.
You have Smallville to thank for getting Arrow, because Smallville is
I
the thing
know.
that made
I've praised it, but I've seen clips
How can
of
you
the.
praise something? How can you praise something you didn't finish watching?
I praise the stuff that I've seen that I've liked. I like the JSA stuff. I've seen the later stuff in the show, but in terms of watching the whole entire series, I tried. I just couldn't continue.
Hi Jennifer, good
Hi,
to see
Jennifer.
you. Thank you for the super chat. Yes, Gotham.
Yes.
We're gonna do We're gonna do Q&A. But you can if you can send in super chat about other things as well. That's perfectly fine too. But if you have things you want to talk about Gotham, you can send them in as well. But yeah, for me, like what I loved about Smallville was the fact that we got to see some of these villains get their origin. So maybe again, Smallville is the fit. That the reasons Smallville, one of the reasons Smallville gets so much love is because of its perfect character analysis of Lex Luthor. Like that's why like Michael Rosenbaum continues to be in a lot of people's way, a list and so on. Their favorite Lex Luthor of all time, and so for me, I was like, I think maybe the one time where I was kind of like rolling my eyes about like, did they really need to show up here? I think that Bane should
Yeah.
not, and like again, it was just like a Walmart version of the Dark Knight Rises version. I'm like, are you? And the actor was fine, like he was good and everything. My sister loved him on Nikita or whatever, So Shane West was his name. But for me, I was like, we didn't need this. And again, it's like the math, like everything was just so like this is that was I'm like, okay, it's very cheesy, it's very like lame, like and and like and when I say cheesy, it's like I know that half of the shit that Oswald would say, but not even that could be as bad as how they did Bane sometime with that show. Also, I hated that version of Talia al Ghul. That actress was so like I mean, first of all, ethnicity wise, it wasn't okay. But secondly, like the way like she was so over the top, like, oh Bruce Wayne, I'm Talia al Ghul. I'm here to avenge my father. Rachel al Ghul.
Oh, he's great.
I mean, listen, first of all, an Arabic man as Rachel al Ghul, like with the with the costume and the accent and like the like the little I think we saw the sword and I was like 'cause he's from
Also,
was he from Game of Thrones?
yes, and he's the Ra's al Ghul that Arrow wishes they had.
Right.
I like the Ra's al Ghul and Arrow, but this like they did I think a better job with the Ra's al Gotham. They did way better.
Yeah, I remember the episode where he makes Bruce think that he actually killed Alfred. I mean, I'm like gaslighter Al Ghul.
Was that at the end of an episode before? Yeah, I think it was because I think it was a 2-episode.
Yeah, because because David said at a convention, and that they had like that scene and then the scene right after that, but it's still set in the same scene, are directed by two different directors because they started with that episode and then the next episode is where like like where it's like, oh my god, I killed Alfred, no. But
Also, to your point about villains, I think one villain I kind of wish they didn't cover, but I understand because they were just trying to cover as many as possible at a point, was Professor Pig. Now, it was definitely creepy and eerie, and I was definitely uncomfortable at times, like, wow, they're really pushing this as far as they can. But I don't think it was necessary to have him in the show. I don't think so. I understand because he is a lesser known Batman villain, but he is out there. So I understand that at a certain point, Batman will run into him. but you didn't need to have him. I felt like they
I
did
think
it.
you could have Calendar Man instead.
Yeah, I felt like they just did it as a shock factor because they were allowed to get away with more stuff on that show.
Why don't? Here's what I don't understand. It's like, how could they do him at 8 p.m. on Fox?
I don't know.
This is like something you do at like on cable at 9 p.m.
or 9 or 10, or even on back then. Well, I guess streaming services like wasn't really a thing. I mean, Hulu was around obviously because I watched on Hulu, but it wasn't like today where they could get away with more. But I don't know. I felt like it was unnecessary, but that's just me.
Yeah, Coral Owls, and
yes.
I love that we kind of got this kind of like a bit of a prequel to the Coral Owls, like you know, like in a way where like I could see them actually coming back in this universe at some point, and the fact that we had that arrogant lady who was just like so full of herself that like when like they actually like stabbed her, I was like, good bitch, good, take it.
Exactly.
I also loved. Okay, I think we need to talk about Riddler. This is okay. Everyone needs to remember something. We had not gotten Paul Dano yet, and at the time we had only had Jim Carrey. So when we got Corey Michael Smith as Riddler, I could like if I would have spun out any character to have their own show, a spin-off show, it would be Riddler. Like it is Riddler. First of all, they made Riddler sexy, okay? Like I was like hold on. Thank you, Jennifer. Look at these two. These sexualized Riddler and Penguin. And
Riddle pot.
Yes, oh my ship. But I was like, when in that first episode when he's like, you know, at GCPD. Okay, I will say this. It was very odd to me at first. I'm like, they're gonna have him work here, really? Like, really? We're doing this? But the more we got into the season, I was like, bitch, I kind of like this. And I remember the first time when Oswald and Enigma meet. Because wait, hold, I need to show this because it's just so funny. Like Oswald is standing over there, and Enigma's standing here. And he's just like, just excited, just looking at someone, and like he like quite like kind of casually just follows around, and eventually Oswald is like, "Can I help you?" And then he's like, "You're standing too close to me," and then like wait, and then like Enigma is like he tries to give him a riddle. He's like, Oswald's like, "Wait, are you asking me a riddle?" That again, I love those two characters together, and again, it's like again, I feel that Robert Lord Taylor, I mean, Corey Michael Smith as the Riddler, I was like, it washed away Batman Forever for me. It was so nice. It was like a good shower that you're like, you know what, I could take another shower. You know, like I loved the hot water. Like I felt clean. But you know, I can take another one because it was a very pleasant shower. And that's how much I love this Enigma. And also, I love the kind of like the two personalities that eventually kind of merge into one.
Over time.
What did you think? Like, did you like how long they built up the Riddler in the show?
Yeah, and also Penguin too. I felt like they handled I think most of the villains well. I feel like with Riddler, the slow reveal of who he really is in terms of like having that split personality, I think was interesting. And Penguin too, it's like he kind of was the Penguin always, but he just slowly like realized it over time. And I like how it took Edward a little bit to really embrace like his Riddler side. And I think it worked well. The villain you had mentioned that we do need to address before we jump into the next topic is Poison Ivy. Because I honestly don't remember the recasting of
which one
Scarecrow, but I remember the constant recasting of Poison Ivy in this show, like literally 3 times. They had was it at least 3 times they had a different person playing? I think because we had a little girl, she grew up a little bit, and then again.
Yeah, we had Peyton List as the final one.
Yeah.
And I think she was probably like most accurate out of the three. But I think I think the best Poison Ivy in live action is Bridget Regan on Batwoman. But I was like, what are you all doing?
Yeah.
This is like really freaky. And I think it's because I think they just, I don't know why it was so important for him to have Poison Ivy.
Mhm.
Because I feel like, again, because she just kind of quickly went out of the background. I think, if anything, she gave. I do like that she and Selena grew up together. And see, you know what's interesting? People like, I don't like that that people in this fandom look at Selena as one of the villains. I'm like, no, I don't think this Catwoman is ever a villain. Like, she's not like she is one of the few anti-heroes we have on this show. What was your stance on Catwoman? Like if we're talking about villain, like, does she belong here?
No, she wasn't a villain. She definitely is not always on the side of right, but in terms of like in the same realm as Penguin and Riddler, no, that's not her. And even the finale, they kind of imply that she's gonna, break the rules. It's not to the level of this because of the strong bond that her and Bruce had for the longest time. I feel like it's just not going to go that route. And yeah, anti-hero.
Yeah.
So no.
Were you surprised when Oswald when they were starting to kind of tease of the Oswald Enigma romance?
I honestly didn't notice it. I mean, I know that they had.
Wait, are you kidding me? Wait, what do you mean you didn't notice that?
I mean, I know they had like a bond thing, but I wasn't someone who was shipping them or something.
No. I'm not asking if you were shipping them. I was asking, like, when they would go in that direction of that storyline where you're like, oh, I didn't see this coming, or you kind of like, oh, I can kind of see it makes sense.
I'll just see where I can't remember at the time, honestly, what I thought, because it's been a while. I can't remember. All I know is that they were kind of implying, because they've spent so much time together, but I would just to see what happens, because this show was so ridiculous at times. I didn't know what they were going to do week to week, because this is the same show, like we mentioned. They cloned Bruce. They had Professor Pig on at one point. They had Ra's al Ghul. Solomon Grundy. We had Ra's al Ghul make Bruce think he killed Alfred. And there was another point where they thought Alfred was dead too, but it was a fake out again. So I didn't know what they were going to do. And obviously they didn't go that route, but they ended up being just friends. I'm saying acquaintances, but they're partners in crime, especially in the finale.
How do you feel about Azrael? I just remember that he was also on the show.
I liked him before he became Azrael.
Yeah, you know what? I was that too, because I'm like, I don't want to see Azrael until after Batman is here.
Yeah, I felt like they kind of that wasn't necessary, but I liked the character before he became Azrael. It felt like it was more interesting that way.
Mad Hatter.
I didn't like him. I didn't like. I didn't like, and it's not because of the character. I didn't like the actor for it. I mean, I've seen him in other stuff. I just didn't like him. I didn't like his voice. I just didn't like it.
I remember I didn't like that he was a villain for so many episodes. I think it would have been fine if it had been like a 3-episode arc and that would be it.
Yeah.
I like the actor though. I think that was fine. I love this take on Carmine Falcone.
Oh yeah.
He was very complex to the point. Like, you know what? Like, it's very hard.
Great.
It's very hard. Yeah, it's a wonderful actor, but it's like it is hard to hate him because he kind of keeps the piece together in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Clayface, that was so cheesy,
so random.
We gotta give a shout out to a boy. Oh my god, he was literally on my mind. What is his name? Victor Zsasz.
Oh yeah, he was definitely a highlight in terms.
They made him funny.
They made him hilarious. They made him a goofball at times, but it worked so well for that actor. He was really good.
You know what was a wasted opportunity though? Their version of Firefly.
Yeah,
because I liked it was a woman, but I don't like that it was. How they kind of just quickly threw her away.
And then they really didn't do much with her.
Hugo Strange.
I like the actor. I like the actor for it.
Stevie One was like, oh my, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he really played that up in terms of like really slow pacing his speech. I mean, I don't consider her a villain, but people have been bringing up Barbara. We haven't talked about Barbara.
We got to talk about we got Stabby Babs. We got to talk about Stabby Babs.
Yeah.
She, because I was so afraid that they were going to turn into fuck you, bye. We had a little spammer. I was always afraid that we were gonna make her into Harley Quinn.
Mhm.
I'm like, no, please don't do this.
Yeah, I think I
didn't.
heard that rumor. Yeah.
I don't know if it was so much rumor. It was a fear people always kept speculating, and I know that I think the people on the show, they started teasing fans of, like, I think they lean into it just to kind of see what they would think about it. But I'm glad they didn't turn into that. Although I remember that season when she got that weird light power where she could just like rewind time or whatever she was doing. I'm like, what is happening? There was that one week because like I watched it, but I'm like, did I miss an episode or something? What is happening here? I'm because actually, I wrote an article for Screenrant, like I think it was last year, where I listed every Batman villain who had ever been on Gotham. It was over like 20, 30 characters. You were talking about Mr. Freeze before. They quickly threw him away, but when we did have him,
and they established him to be in season 5, and he wasn't.
I think I think he was a result of budget cuts. I think that they wanted to have him in there, but they couldn't. We had, let's see. Oh yeah, Sal Maroni was on the show. But barely any Harvey Dent. Oh my god! Can we talk about that for a second? How do you? Not only did you fucking age him up, like I don't like that he was so old. No offense to the actor, he was great, but I'm like, it would have been better if he and Bruce had been the same age. Because we did see Tommy Elliott.
Yeah, that's something that I hated, is that they literally aged him up and then he was gone.
Yeah, I don't know if he was like the actor just like got busy with another show, whatever, and so on.
They literally should have had him as the same age as Bruce, and in the finale, aged up, and he's running for mayor, or he's prepping to.
That's that. You know? I like that. I did love Scarecrow. Even though like he, again, behind the mask, he kind of got messed up and so on. But like I love that he was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna change my costume every fucking season. Like, I mean, he pretty much did every Scarecrow look that is in the book. Did you like Sophia Falcone?
She was interesting. I felt like it was more about her father, but I think they did. I think it was solid. I think she definitely was. It definitely got it more interesting than I thought, because there were some characters I'm like, okay, like I was thinking like maybe she'll make an impact, because some characters would pop up for an episode, but then she kept popping up. Like, okay, we'll see what happens here. And then of course the whole Jim thing, and yeah.
Well, we gotta talk about, and I think lastly we should talk about Solomon Grundy, because I loved Butch. Okay, I love Drew Powell. Butch. But Butch. Oh my god! Like, where do we start? Like, we chopped off one of his hands. Mm-hmm. They made his hand into like a bazooka or something at one point. He died at least twice.
Yeah.
I think him and Solomon Grundy was like, it was fun in idea, but very quickly I was like, can we just get Butch back? And which we did.
It felt like they just wanted to find a way to bring that into the mix, and how could they? So they abused his character. He just kept destroying the guy. Poor. I mean, the actor seemed like he was loving it. He's like, I don't care. He's like, whatever.
But I mean, Drew Powell, again, he's so nice in person. Like he is so different from Butch that you can imagine. But he's like he would not harm a fly. He's always like super nerdy, whatever, and so on. But there's one more, and I'm gonna let you take this.
Yes. Okay, I guess we'll just save the super chats for the Q&A. So there's one character we have not mentioned because it's a special topic here. It is the Joker mythology. Because we had not one, not two, but three Jokers in the show Gotham, all played by the same amazing actor, Cameron Monaghan. Now, on the right, we had Jerome. On the left, we had Jeremiah. And in the middle, we had Jay, or Mr. J. But Jay, we all know who this character is. They would not say it on the show. They could not legally say it on the show.
Yeah, because I don't. Wow, I just.
But we know who this is. And what I love so much about Gotham is at first it was kind of worrisome because we had heard at one point that a producer or somebody being interviewed when they first introduced Jerome said, well, Jerome isn't exactly the Joker. And, like he could inspire somebody. Like, no, because everybody wanted him to become the Joker. So what they did with for Cameron is he was barely available because he was on Shameless. And that's fine because I felt like if you overuse Joker, all the other villains that they did establish would be sidelined because everybody loved when he was on screen as Jerome or Jeremiah or Jay. So Cameron played one version of Joker as Jerome. Yes, exactly.
That's a good.
Exactly.
We need a. I need. Someone needs to do is because I got that. Someone bought me that book for Christmas. Someone needs to do take that comic art and then just they need to draw it, but with Cameron Monaghan sitting in those free positions.
Yeah. So Jerome played a very dark and gritty, like a very different Joker than people were, I think, expecting. But his first scene kind of established that when he really revealed himself in season 1. Of course, he dies. But then in the most comic book fashion, this show at times just goes full comic book in a sense of their storylines. There's a twin brother. Jeremiah, he played a very different kind of Joker. And Jerome reminded me a lot of Heath Ledger's Joker. But then Jeremiah reminded me of Mark Hamill's Joker in animation. And obviously more calm and laid back at times, but he really showed himself. Wow. And then Jay was literally an amalgamation of both. Obviously, it's still Jeremiah, but it's really an amalgamation of both versions with the creepy, like, burn scars and everything, and the hair, a lot of it missing. He really played it up so well. Because this show, as we saw, had one version of all characters, besides the recasting bit, but they had one version of every villain. Here, they gave us 3 versions of Joker without technically calling him it. We know who he is. But I think it works so well because Cameron played it up so well. It's not like literally there's not been another actor who was allowed to do this many interpretations of the same character.
And there's young, we never see because you gotta remember because Cameron Monaghan, he was 50. Because I just watched, I've gone through Shameless and I love that show with all my heart. But he was 15 or 16 years old when he booked that show, and then when he went into Gotham, he was barely 18. So this is this is one of the roles in Hollywood that is this can make or break your career. If you fuck up the Joker, you become a joke. So
exactly.
I want to be the star of the show. Yeah. I may have rewatched some of those trailers way too many times. When they would release those red band trailers, they were so sick. I
remember reacting to those special Joker trailers back in the day.
Yeah, they were fun. They were a lot of fun. For me, when it comes to Joker, I feel like this was again, I was also very nervous because in season 1, there was this idea that every week or so, there might be someone that guy could be the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the pilot, it was this bad comedian, whatever. So, and I was oh my God, we're so we know, we get it. He's a bad comedian. But I when Jerome came in and episode 116 aired, and because I remember because we had seen there was a brief promo of like the next villain is no joke, um, and we see a little bit of it. I didn't know what to think of it, but then when we watch that scene and like he starts crying,
Mm-hmm.
and then he goes up and like and then he just like, my mother was a cold-hearted whore who didn't care for anyone. I may have done those lines a little bit too many times. Apparently there was one time I got drunk and I apparently did that whole monologue on the phone to someone, and I'm like, how much did I sound like him? They were like, oh no, you sounded like him. I almost hung up. You were creepy. And then, oh yeah, definitely. I was waiting for him to come home. But when they brought in the twin, because you're very much like Jerome is very much Heath Ledger's Joker in a lot of ways. He is the chaos.
The exact perfect analogy. Chaos. Yes.
Yeah, he's wild chaos. Jeremiah is controlled chaos because he is, because the laughing would come and go back and forth. With Jerome, there was like, I mean, Jerome was funny, which was like, again, I listen, I do not accept the bad things he did, of course, but every time when Jerome was laughing, I'm like, wow, okay, this is kind of funny, like not funny, haha, but funny, wow. But when Jeremiah came in, I was like, why are they doing this? Jerome is right here. But then we saw season 5. And it clicked to me, like, it's because Jerome could never be complete. That's why he made that gas or that toxin that he injected Jeremiah with.
Yeah.
To kind of like, let me infuse a piece of myself into you. The piece that I always needed for my domination.
Mm-hmm.
So because my biggest challenge with this is that which one is my favorite. I don't know which one is my favorite. It's like even 4 years later, I still can't decide which one is my favorite. Like do you have a favorite?
Yeah, it's Jeremiah, and it's before he becomes Jay. I liked Jeremiah when the slow reveal in season 4 and season 5 when we have the, of course, Ace Chemicals episode. It was so well done. I think the reason why Jay, the final version of Joker in the continuity, is not my favorite is because I just honestly don't like the look. I wish he had more of like the shorter hair, like we kind of like how he has, but since he falls in the vat of chemicals, like yeah, like I just don't like the fact that he has hardly any hair. But it's like it's them giving us because like if they would have went the route of like Jeremiah but just older, looking pretty much just like Jeremiah on the left there in the middle, and they just copied it, it would probably look like another version of Joker we've seen in live action or animation before. So they gave a very different scarred, hardly any hair look. So I understand it because this is its own continuity. The show, like even though in the finale, which we'll get to in a bit, like they had a more comic accurate looks, but really like a lot of these characters were close, but not really. And the show already had, like we said, Jerome, a version of Joker. So with this one, falling in the vat of chemicals, waiting all this time to reveal himself that he was never truly paralyzed, that he was going to be different. He was going to look different.
My problem. I'm so sorry. My problem with because I remember because when I guess I can talk about this now because it's been years. So weeks before it leaked, I had some sources sending me over like, dude, you want to see what the Joker's gonna look like? I'm like, sure. And at first I'm like, why? Why would they do this? And the way it was explained to me was that it was an impossible situation because they had gotten to the point where like, we're gonna do the Joker, but they were still always wrestling with those restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
The hair was apparently one of them.
Well, I remember he posted tweets about what they couldn't do and the tests
Yeah,
they did to try to get around it.
yeah. I think I can also accept the idea that if you would fall into a pool of chemicals, you're gonna lose your hair. Like it's not
Yeah.
like your skin is gonna get messed up, and your hair is included in that. So for me, I could accept this as like an initial look for him getting out of Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say if we'd had a season 6, and we would have been now in the future, and we would have seen Joker on a regular basis. At some point, I'll be like, get him a fucking wig someday. Like we can, like he can just be running around like with his hair. But here's the thing. This is also the problem. Like this, the minor problem with this joke with the Joker mythology is that he's older than Bruce,
Yeah.
so he will always look a little nastier than Bruce. He will likely die before Bruce. Um, But either way, I could accept that look for the series finale. Because again, with the purple and the white skin and the gloves and everything, I'm just, I'm like, hey, we got to see it. That's pretty cool.
As close as they could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I still can't pick a favorite out of the two of them. Like it's like again, it's like because they in many ways they complete each other. I mean, literally.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that for all the hoops they had to jump through because of Warner Brothers, Gotham did a spectacular job with the Joker legacy, and I love that. Like it was like, yeah, like this is a philosophy, this is an idea that can inspire city. Because I remember when it was a season where Jerome had wreaked havoc again on Gotham. And I remember there's that one scene where Jim is chasing down a suspect or something. He's like, "Where's Jerome?" He's like, "Look around you. He's everywhere." And that is such a beautiful statement about the Joker as a whole, is that the Joker could be everywhere. He's not just one man, he's an ideology in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I will admit, I sometimes do go back on YouTube and I search for like Jerome compilations and Jeremiah compilations, and they're kind of fun to rewatch, sure. Now we're gonna jump to the series finale, which we know that a lot of people have had a lot of thoughts on this. We are aware 100%. The series finale, the beginning, is it's a 10-year time jump, and it takes place right after the No Man's Land storyline came to an end. And it's basically like a cool little backdoor pilot in a lot of ways for a Batman show.
Yeah.
Now, you had okay. Tessa just followed me.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? What just happened? And now you'd watched the show.
Yep.
You watched the series finale. Was this everything you wanted from the end of Gotham? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I made a video. The last video I made about Gotham was after the show ended. I, of course, reacted to the finale. I did a video called 5 Ways They Could Improve the Finale. And the first thing I said was this should have been a 2-hour finale. This should not have been a 1-episode deal. Or at least they should have made the last 2 episodes at a time jump where literally we had enough time to spend in the decade ahead when Bruce comes back. Obviously there's certain things they couldn't do, but I felt like they really I felt rushed. But I feel like at the ending with Bruce standing on there, and I'll pull up the image again here. Him standing over with the spotlight on, with the bat signal on, not really a bat signal, but with it on, the searchlight. And like that, I feel was a really powerful moment. And the music, just the way that final shot, that final moment was good. Other things were decent. And obviously seeing little Batgirl, little Barbara was awesome. But I really felt like they just kind of rushed to end it. And it really irritated me because I really felt like the show was on an upward trajectory from the beginning, where to me it was getting better as the show went along. Sure, there might have been some dips, but I really felt like each season the show was just getting more complex and better. And I really felt, even with a shorter season 5, they handled it pretty well. And then with this episode, it just felt like they were trying to do so much, but they ended up not really doing a lot. Because there was a lot of things we already kind of assumed what was going to happen based off where the show actually ended before the 10-year time jump. And also, one little side note, I hated the fact that they literally gave Gordon his mustache and shaved it off 2 scenes later.
Yeah,
that was so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Like, I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, I remember people were so, I guess because I'd see, yeah, because someone had tipped me off that Andy, like, would you believe me if I told you that you see him with a mustache and then he shaves it off? I'm like, no, I don't believe you. They're like, okay, I will talk to you in May. And then he did it. I'm like, what the hell? At the end of the day, I'm like, I'm fine that he didn't have the mustache, but I'm like, I just felt like it's just one of those jokes. I'm like, we didn't need it. I wasn't offended by it, but I was like, we didn't need it. I don't know if I would say that they rushed it, because we got to remember Gotham, because this is the year when Lucifer also got, like, this was the year when Gotham and Lucifer were up in the air. Gotham got a late renewal.
Yeah.
Lucifer got canceled.
It was really late. It was really late.
Yeah, like we almost didn't get the show back. So for me, I'm glad that we even got a series finale that had anything with Batman. I think that,
of course,
the series finale, I love. Like, seriously, the beginning is one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. It feels like, again, like this could have set up, like a sequel series of, like, Bruce as Batman. And the only thing I didn't like was, and I know this was her decision, but it was so weird not having Cameron Bigelow over there as Catwoman.
Yeah, that's I think the girl did fine who played her, but she wasn't Selena.
It's not Selena to me, and also it's like, what do you take? Because I'm like, oh, so suddenly she's like super, super tall, and like she just like talks very, very differently. I'm like, because by the time we got to season 5, at the end of season 5 of Gotham, Selena was pretty much like 18. Like, she was, even when you're 18, like, you don't grow much anymore. So it's like, like, how did she go from like this to this 10 years later? And like, oh, look at the long hair and just the voice, like,
And I respect her decision for not wanting to do the finale, but I really felt like she should have done it. But hey, it was her choice. But I feel like, hey, just go for it. Everyone else was doing it, but I get it, because most everybody else was an adult before the time jump, so they were able to make it work. But
yeah, the only difference was, a different Selena and Penguin 08.
Yeah, God.
And I remember, like, when he came out of when he came out of the prison, and like, again, Penguin's theme is like, it is so casual, like da na 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 na, and he just waddles around, and he's like, people of Gotham, I am so proud to be out of prison. I'm gonna do my best to be a good citizen. Blah 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 blah. Gets into his car. It's like, fuck these losers.
Exactly.
I love Riddler's suit. Like, we finally got the question mark. And there was so many good callbacks to the pilot. Because Penguin almost shot Gem. He's like, and I remember in that trailer when like they echo where he was like, our story is over. But no, but for me, like, I was happy with the series finale. I thought, like, listen, like, yes, should we have seen more of Batman, like, in, like, not just the shadows? Yeah, but you know what? We can't fight the studio. I mean, look again. I mean, if you think Warner Brothers was bad then, I mean, look how bad they are now.
Oh yeah, that's why we didn't really see him much because of those restrictions.
Yeah, so the fact that we even got anything, I'm like, you know what? I will take it because we know, like we know he's there. We know what Batman looks like. It's not, but again, like, and the fact that we got far enough to the show that they could do this, I thought was pretty dope. Now, because there's one thing we had to talk about the series finale, and I know again, this is one of those things again that is. Well, actually, this is your part, so go for it.
Yeah, so we're talking about the bat suit. Now, this is a shot. Now, I think this is like the exact shot that I pulled at the end of my reaction because I found it on because I watched the episode the next day and it was on Twitter or something. So we're talking the bat suit. Now, it was very quick. We do have some behind the scenes shots and I believe some concept art we'll pull up in a second. But this was the final shot of the show. And there's a lot of discussion about the overall design of the suit. But with these pictures that we're about to pull up here, you get to see more of what the suit actually looked like, especially during shooting outside of this scene here. So here's a better shot. There's some concept there. I think the concept looks interesting. And we have the shot of the suit there on the left. Obviously, I think the plating on the belly looks kind of odd. I like the bat, like, actual insignia. The cape, I like that it's two different like styles of fabric and it cuts like in the middle arm area. That's kind of interesting. We also have these as well as like with the stunt actor.
Yeah, the one who's like running around as the old Bruce.
Whenever there's like the warehouse sequence or whatever, and other shots as well in the dark. Obviously, this suit, this version here was not made to really be fully shown the way this shot is here. This was more of just like for the actor to run around to get the implication. And here's also more as well.
I do think the photo on the right, I think that is supposed to be David.
I think that is him. It definitely looks like him more than the shot on the left, which obviously is the stunt actor. Now, here's the thing. Even though it's a completely different show, Titan season 1, they had that dream nightmare sequence with that Batman. That suit didn't even have a bat symbol on it at all.
Nope.
So well, or hit it as much as they did. But I feel overall the suit is good for a prototype suit, because there was people online like, man, what the fuck? For me, it's like, this is literally his first time out being Batman. It's not like where we jumped a decade in and he was gone for 5 years and he's running around for 5 years in the time jump as Batman. The suit would not look like that. But literally, he was gone for a decade training. He's now fully realizing who he is and who he's going to become. This is truly who Bruce Wayne is Batman. This is his prototype suit. It's not going to look like that, I would say, in a couple of years in the timeline. It's going to look different. But what did you think of the suit of Batman?
Yeah, for me, I knew because I actually because again, this was again like the final season. I just had a lot of things spoiled to me for the final season, but I had some of these images sent to me. Not the one that we should have. I had other images that about those I will never be legally allowed to show. I remember like because my source was like, Andy, what the fuck am I don't what the fuck did they work on? I'm like, but you need to remember something. This is a Bruce who's been gone for 10 years. He hasn't, really been close to his resources and whatnot. And just the idea of a costume probably came to him as he was getting ready to go back home. So I think he came back to Gotham. He had that suit with him. And I mean, I'm going to operate in this and kind of just, I need to start building this image to people. I need to build this symbol that there's a reason they should fear bats. And here's why. Now here's the thing. For a series finale, there is so many complications with budgets for a final episode, and I don't know. Like again, we will see how the Flash does it, but there was never any chance in hell that we were gonna get something like the Dark Knight costume for a one episode. It was never gonna happen. This suit is basically, I would say, a very a modernized version of the Batman Year One costume.
Mhm.
Like there's some rubber, whatever, and so on. Because the Batman Year One costume, it's just it's just fabric. But again, he had to learn, and he had to adapt from it, and that's why in the end, I think the one thing they could have worked on a little bit better, or maybe at least they maybe try to maybe borrow from the archives, is the cowl. If he threw up the last image where we see him on the green screen,
Yeah.
that's where I can understand a little bit why people would have issues with it, but again, I'd rather take this suit than any. I would rather take this suit than the Batman Forever or any of the Joel Schumacher suits.
I mean, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, and so I think this was, I think this was something there was so much unnecessary hate on this part, and it really was. And I think that again, because there's people who like even if the suit looks cheap, there were people who worked on that. Like they worked their asses off to make it happen. Yeah. So I dug it. Now now as we get to the end, and then we're gonna jump into Q&A, is the overall legacy of the show. Jordan, it's been a couple of years now since the show ended, and the show is on HBO Max. You've had some time away from it. You probably watched episodes here or there. When you think of Gotham, what does it represent to you as, not just a DC TV show, but as just another entry in the Batman media history legacy?
To me, I had to think about it because I was looking over the docs today, the document for the show notes, and I was thinking about what I was going to say. I think ultimately I came to the conclusion Gotham is going to be an underrated gem that I don't think is ever going to be fully appreciated by comic book fans. And I think reason why is because there's a lot of people that I still see online that have never seen Gotham. And that's fine because not everybody has to watch all these shows and everything. Everyone has their own preference. But I feel like there's people out there that never gave it a shot, or they actually, like me, watched a couple episodes of season 1 and didn't continue, and they're missing out on some great stuff, especially the Bruce stuff and especially all the Joker stuff. There's a lot of stuff they're missing. And even if you watch those clips online and you don't know the context, but you're watching online, you're not really fully understanding all the complex storylines that went on in the show. So I feel like it's an underrated gem, and I feel like people are going to discover it over time and go, wow, I should have watched this show with remaining, where I had no idea this show existed. And I hope that it goes down as one of those shows that I think was ahead of its time a little bit in regards to all the stuff they pulled off, because the show at times was laid back in terms of not going too ridiculous, but then there's other times where it goes so bonkers. You're like, is this the same show I was watching a few episodes back? Yes, it was. But the show was able to handle all of that. They handled, and as we mentioned in the villain segment, so many villains. They handled so many characters in their 5 seasons. And their abridged 5th season, they handled so many things for 100 episodes that it's unfortunate it doesn't get the same love as some other shows at DC like Arrow, Flash. These shows have a lot more of an audience. It's unfortunate Gotham doesn't have the same, or at least there's people not really talking about it as much. And I think it's because it's over, but it just feels like the people like, oh, Gotham, because there's people in the comments saying, oh, I've never seen Gotham, or I've only watched a little bit. Should I continue? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is on HBO Max.
But yes, it's an underrated gem that definitely deserves it deserves more praise. It deserves more attention. And I really hope with it being on HBO Max, and then with it moving to whatever the next streaming service is with the combined Discovery HBO Max, whatever that is going to be, that they promote it and then they help get more people to notice it.
Yeah, I would say the show was a little bit ahead of its time, but I would say that what I love with Gotham is that these creators realize that the Batman mythology is nutty, like it's dark, but it's also nutty as hell. It is about a dude running around in a bat costume, fighting people calling themselves the Riddler, the Joker, the Penguin, Clayface, Hugo Strange,
Yeah.
the League of Assassins. And it's just like I love that we got to have fun with it too. But again, it was like it was a dark, twisty show. But again, they were not afraid to embrace the absurdity of the Batman mythology.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that now with the show on HBO Max, I'm hoping that new people will discover the show and that they will find the love that we have for it. I think that's all I have to say about it.
It was a great ride, a great journey, and hopefully more people will discover it and talk about it and let other people know to watch Gotham. It's 100 episodes. That is a tall order, but trust me, if you like DC shows and you've never gave it a chance, season 1 can be rough, but trust me, once you get to those later seasons, you are hooked. And you were like, thank God I stuck with this, because the show gets crazy as hell.
Yep.
It's crazy as hell.
Bruce Wayne clones.
Literally. And you don't have to wait too long for your first introduction to Joker or a version, the first version, Jerome. Episode 16, boom, you're in it.
Yeah.
So watch it. Yep. Let's jump into Q&A, everybody. Q&A. Ask us questions or we'll fucking leave. We do have some super chats that we did miss, but we had to get through everything there. I wasn't expecting to go as long as we did, but hey, we had a lot to cover here.
Yeah.
I want to thank Jennifer for the super. I'm assuming she's not here now, but thank you, Jennifer, for the super chat. I thought about your animation is for kids video, and it just does not make sense. Can't people like both football, animated shows, no matter what the animation is made for? Well, my thing is this. I made that video because somebody was saying how animation is not, or animated shows are not for adults. There are plenty of shows, Family Guy, South Park, Rick and Morty, the list goes on and on and on, that are shows that are made for adults. But if you're somebody that's sitting there goes, well, I'm an adult now, I can't enjoy an episode of Ben 10. Oh, I'm an adult now, I can't enjoy the Spectacular Spider-Man anymore, even though I watched the show. Oh, I'm an adult now, I can't watch the X-Men 90s animated series. And even though they're bringing the show back, X-Men 97 for Disney Plus, I can't watch it because I'm an adult. I don't know what your mindset is. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's another form of medium. And the idea of like you have to watch football, this guy was saying watch football over animation. You can watch both, or you could watch neither. It doesn't matter. But to sit there and go after people who watch animation is stupid. If they're an adult, let them watch what they want. Simple as that. But thank you for your super chat. Did you know Pennyworth the Epic Show is a prequel? Now we had talked about this before.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. It's this now. It has this same creator from Gotham, but
and one of its main directors, Danny Cannon.
Yes, but it's not connected.
Yeah,
officially.
Yeah. Unless Todd Halpin comes in, like, actually, I think it should be.
What are your thoughts on Gotham Knights being locked at 30 FPS on consoles? Well, I didn't really bother me too much, honestly. But that's just me. I'm just excited to play the game.
Yeah,
I'm
me
ready.
too.
I'm excited. Are you getting it day one?
Yeah, I will. That one, because here's Journey. If you're still here, I can say this. I don't know if I will be streaming tomorrow, but I will be streaming Gotham Knights on my Twitch channel next weekend.
There you go. And I'm planning on playing it a bit before our stream next Friday. And I'm probably.
I swear to God, if you fucking spoil anything, I will.
I'm not. No. And I'm planning on probably playing on Saturday, my actual birthday as well.
Yeah, and actually, guys, we actually already have the link, the YouTube event up for next Friday. We'll be reviewing Black Adam, which is coming out in theater next week. So I hope you all will be here to join us for that. But yeah,
let's go back and see some of the Gotham comments. Let's see here. The best duo, Penguin and Riddler.
yep.
Let's see here. People think I should give Smallville a shot.
Yep.
Understandable. Why did they move it from Netflix? Because Netflix doesn't own it. The contract ran out. Gotham has been the villain magnet. Yes, literally. Gotham's like, just bring all the villains in. Just bring them all in. Is there a Batman family in Gotham? When I love this show, maybe like, well, because Miata said that Miata's not seen the show. There isn't a Batman family per se. I guess you could say they're kind of maybe, but no. My birthday is not tomorrow. My birthday is next Saturday, the 22nd. Let's see here. Watch a couple episodes and on YouTube and clip stop. Should I continue? Yes, you should. Yes. Speaking of Flash, the Daddy Likes the Metal episode that I saw is actually pretty ironically good.
It's not. I mean, yeah, it's just that one joke that kind of is ridiculous, but otherwise, it's a good episode. It's right after Crisis.
Looks to me like a darker, less designed version of Christian Bale's suit. I could see that, especially with his Batman Begins suit, like the palette and whatever, and like the color of the black, especially that first shot. Like, yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah. Still, David Zaz. What about David Zaslav? What about him?
Let's not ruin a good Friday night with that man.
Gotham Knights Zaslav edition is the same, but without Batgirl. That is amazing. I love that.
That is so mean.
It's so funny.
It's like tags right down.
Yeah, he literally comes in and just removes her from being playable at all. Gotham created some top-notch iterations of these classic characters, Riddler, Penguin, Jerome, Jeremiah, Eamon, Gordon, and Bruce. I agree.
Yeah, and also we got a really good Harvey Bullock.
Oh yeah, like I felt like they did a great job. Like especially the actor did a great job with portraying Harvey. The show also definitely pushed as far as it could go a lot of the Jerome and even Professor Pig stuff. Yeah, nasty and gross. Yeah. It wasn't like with the show, yeah, because like literally season 1 had that serial killer who basically got Barbara to kill her parents.
No, the ogre, Milo Ventimiglia.
Ogre, yeah, I forgot his name.
He was my first Gotham interview. He was super nice to talk to.
Triple X apparently loved the clone arc.
Bizarre Bruce.
Which I mean, lately that's what it was. Like even his speech was weird. He slow talk.
And also like he was like Selena.
Disney buying Warner Brothers, will they bring the Batgirl movie back?
I mean they can't because it's tax right down now.
Yeah. So they can't. Let's see. When you saw that scene on Gordon interrogates a Jerome show, what was your reaction face? I mean, I reacted to that scene, so you see my reaction to it. I remember going, okay, because like I knew ahead of time what it was because people had talked about it. But I bet watching for the first time, you're going, oh, he's Joker.
My reaction was something I'm trying to remember. I mean, I was freaked out. It was more like
intriguing. Were you backing up like, I need to get away from this? He ran away. Understandable. I'm going to pull something up real quick, actually. Well, he's off doing that nonsense.
I just needed more water.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. We're at 27 likes, guys. Let's get to like 30. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get to 30 likes. Why do we have 2 dislikes? What did we do? What happened?
Fuck you, Sazla.
Zaslav showed up and he's like, "Tell me this shit." Yeah. Let's get to 30 likes, guys. Let's get to 30 likes. We can do it. Come on. Let's see here. I'm scrolling through Riddle Pot. People like that.
Yeah, it's a good ship.
Yeah. See, I didn't mind the recasting. I think it's talking about Poison Ivy. Yeah. I mean, they explained it, but it was kind of weird. You know, I don't know.
So yeah, it was. I mean, I just feel like recasting and re-aging once was enough, but doing it twice, I'm like, okay, you're just lazy now.
We got to 32 likes. Guys, let's get to 35. Can we get to 35 likes? We're at 32. Let's get to 35. Let's keep pushing that number up, guys.
Shall we? I'm just looking for time's sake. Shall we go till 10:45?
Sure. Unless we start getting a bunch of super chats, then we'll stick around. But we're here. Gotham was one of those pre-Batman shows I never knew was a thing. And then I started binging like crazy.
It is very bingeable. It's very addicting.
I mean, that's what I did with season 1 when it came on Netflix. I literally was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I literally got through it because I was trying to make sure to catch up to make sure I wasn't behind. Even though I had 5 weeks for Hulu, I was like, still like, I wanted to make sure I had enough time to catch up. Let's see here. Okay. Did we want a Gotham verse? No, but I
not a Fanny's Ever universe.
I mean, what other heroes could they have done?
I mean, not so much. I think heroes. I think more so. More so. Just like kind of just spin-off shows. Maybe we could have had something like a Riddler show, or maybe Pennyworth would have been in the Gotham universe, whatever, and so on. But no, I think it's like I mean, you can also we can call the Gotham verse as like this is like that's the Earth.
Yeah, literally. Was Robin like a character ever an idea? I know because it'd be too early for that. I think
we did meet his parents.
Oh yeah. So, but they didn't get to that part. Well, good night, Scout. Thank you for stopping by. Sooner or later, Disney might merge with HBO Max. I don't think so. That's not the rumor that's going out there.
Wait, what happened now? What happened now?
Saying that Disney might merge with HBO.
No.
HBO Max, no. Which Earth is Gotham on? Do we even know?
No, but I think we could. It doesn't have a number. I know they wanted to try to do something with Gotham for Crisis, but
Do you know who they would have tried to got for that, or we don't know?
No, I mean they were just. I mean they were just going to try and acknowledge that it was in the same multiverse or whatever. But what would be a good number? How about Earth 05, because David loved the Dark Knight movies, and Batman Begins came out in 2005. So
okay, so Earth 5.
Earth 5, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Or Earth 05.
Disney could not buy everything. Earth Todd. Oh, Jesus. Earth Todd.
boys. I've worked with D&D for a very long time, and I've seen some weird shit. I've seen glimpses of the world with superheroes.
That should have been Gordon at the end of the finale. He's like, guys, I've seen some stuff. I'm just saying, there's other heroes, but thankfully we got the Batman.
Oh my God! Happy birthday to the Glam Mother, Andy. Well, thank you.
You are a week late, but thanks.
Yeah, Jordan would not stop talking about remember that time when you didn't show up to your own stream?
5 seasons of Earth 5.
There you go.
Yeah. I think we're all sad the Flash is ending. It's unfortunate not getting that 10th season. Don't know. Oh, man.
We're getting so old, Jordan, that we're
Oh,
already yawning.
I didn't sleep a lot last night, and yeah, it's been a week. Well, they were gonna be moving him and my grandmother down to Florida, but that didn't happen due to them getting COVID. So there's that. But
would they hang out with biographs?
yes, they were actually going down there to live in the bayou with biographs.
Living in the bayou with the alligator.
Regeneron Lane said that seen many heroes instead of what he said. I mean, that's pretty much what he said. He saw many heroes in many worlds.
League of Superheroes, and even though Superman is the only one we got on this earth, well, thank God he is, because he's the best one we got.
I think there's other heroes that just haven't revealed themselves yet.
I mean, at this point, I don't care. I mean, this I mean, CW is not going to really last for that much longer. So,
no. But I think there are other heroes on that earth that's just not known like he is. They are close to 10. Yeah. I think Lucifer had one of the best cameos. Especially Tom. Like Tom crushed it in that scene. It was so good.
So long, John Constantine. Is it? I don't care.
I don't care.
We haven't played a lot of clips tonight. So.
No, we haven't. We don't have any Gotham clips. That's the thing. It's like, Was that us watching all the different versions of Joker?
Well, speaking of Joker. Well.
That laugh is just so ridiculous. I know.
What laugh?
His scream. It's just so ridiculous.
It is so ridiculous.
This should have been the after credit sequence of the finale.
Suit me up, Uncle Alfred.
That should have been the after credit sequence.
Little tiny Barbara goes up to Alfred. I'm like, even though I'm not related to you, can you just make me a suit, Uncle Alfred? Yes, Tom Ellis does ooze charisma. There's that. And to be honest, are you looking for the Wakanda Forever despite Sherry possibly being a new black? Hopefully you don't walk out of the theater when that happens. No, I'm not gonna walk out of the theater doing that. I'm excited to see Wakanda Forever. I have issues with the actress because of things that she has said in regards to the pandemic. But when it comes to the character possibly becoming a new Black Panther, if that's what's happening, I want to see how they do it. But I think it's gonna be a very bittersweet movie for a lot of us. It's gonna be just very challenging not to see Chadwick anymore. He's may he rest in peace. But look, I have never walked out a movie in a theater. I always sit in my seat, because one, I fucking pay money, pay them. God has the big money.
Mm-hmm.
So I will finish it to the end to see how it ends. It's just, I don't think it's professional or it's nice to just up and leave.
I've walked out of a number of movies because it went woke, and I'm just like, I can't handle this. It's too much. So I left.
Oh, you straight white males.
That's me. I literally, I remember one time when a movie went woke, in Avengers Endgame, when all the females were staying together in that moment with Carol, I threw my popcorn up and I threw my hands up in the air and said, "I'm done with this shit," and I walked out.
Oh, so you were actually like, you were making a mess. You were throwing things you were trashing the place.
I had a popcorn. And I threw the bucket, and then when I was leaving, I picked up other people's drinks, with throwing it around and hitting other people's popcorn buckets. I'm like, this is woke, and then I left.
Shame on you.
Fuck! What the fuck? God damn it! How did you get a clip of me in the theater watching that moment?
I turned on the lamps.
The lamps.
Harvey then. Can we trust him?
You should have played it when we were talking about Harvey Dent before. Why did we not do that?
Well, because literally it's like Harvey like came and went so fast on the show.
Harvey then. Can we trust him?
And he's like, he probably
he pops into frame. He's like out of the shot, and he just like.
You need to watch Pete Holmes' Batman sketch. I think you would love it.
Gotcha. All the females popcorn. Every single female in that theater, I just threw their popcorn. Yeah.
Go watch the She-Hulk finale. She-Hulk was awesome.
Yeah, I yelled.
You're still tripping out from like, what did she do?
Yeah, everything.
Actually,
I think that you leave a trail of bodies every damn place that you go.
That's what I said to Kevin Feige when I confronted him about the
no, the Kevin.
Oh, that's the Kevin. Kevin, what are you doing? We're at 32.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football, but you will.
Sorry, I didn't mean
middle of something. We're about to go, guys. Can we get to 35 likes before we end the stream? Can we do it? Get to 35.
Can we do it, Graves?
Yeah, where is Canada's gone. He's down in the bayou.
He's probably at some set or whatever.
He's probably at a set getting spoiler pictures of crap. What would you think if Gracie was Batwoman?
I'm 10 steps ahead of you, and you haven't even figured out what game we're playing yet.
That's Gracie when she becomes Batwoman.
Oh, I love his. Like, wait, hold on.
I'm 10 steps ahead of you, and you haven't even figured out what game we're playing yet.
It's really weird seeing him it's weird seeing him on She-Hulk after seeing this, because
he's so nice. He was so nice on She-Hulk.
Complete opposite. It was so good.
Good character actor.
He did such a good job. We have 34 guys. Let's get to one more. 35. We got this. One more like. We got this, guys. One more.
And then we're going the fuck to bed.
Yeah.
Doris, your final Friday as
well, I'll still be 29 next Friday, but yes, it's winding down. It's unfortunate. But you know,
you guys will be here definitely, you know, because we're gonna talk Black Adam, which I'm very excited to see the film. And Dora, I'm sure he will have audience reactions and more videos on it next Thursday.
Yeah, Black Adam. I'm seeing the film on Thursday evening, and then I'll have my review out of the theater up that night, and then I'll have my audience reaction up before our show. So, yes.
And on Friday, we will all get to discuss it. Might have someone on. So
maybe we'll see. Maybe we already have somebody. We'll find out. You guys
maybe.
If everything goes according to plan, you guys are going to be quite surprised.
Otherwise, we're gonna have to do this.
Obviously, this particular comment didn't age too well.
we hit 36 likes on my end. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
It has been a interesting episode. If you guys enjoyed this retrospective, let us know, of course, by supporting the video and sharing it around to all your friends that know Gotham.
Hit the like button.
Yes, hit the like
subscribe.
Button. Yes, and comment your thoughts on Gotham in the comments below. Obviously in the stream here, but comment your thoughts on the actual video itself. And we might do something else because someone mentioned when the Flash ends, we should do a Flash retrospective, and I think that's a smart idea.
I will put this disclaimer right. We're not gonna do it immediately after the Flash.
No, not immediately.
It will have to be at least a year before I'm like even ready to do a retrospective on the Flash because I'm gonna be like
I think the next one we could do is an Arrow, since we're now in the 10-year of Arrowverse. Maybe we could do an Arrow retrospective, maybe early next year or something. We'll see, because we have a number of episodes kind of not planned out, but we don't have any next retrospective planned necessarily. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It all depends on what's happening, because realistically this week was a slow week, but we already had this planned, so it wasn't like we were going to change it.
Yeah,
But
I don't. Yeah, there was not really. I mean, there wasn't really a lot of news, honestly. I mean, it was more so much that Lord of the Rings had its finale, She-Hulk had its finale, House of Dragon has its finale next week, and whatnot. So, but yeah, let us know in the comments what you what you all thought about this, and and also if you guys haven't watched it, we did the rankings of all the Arrowverse pilots, as it's on the channel. But thank you everyone for tuning in tonight, and we're gonna have a fun show next Friday, as Jordan gets ready to say goodbye to his 20s. I'm gonna bully him so hard, like y'all gonna think those other YouTubers that got bad, like they're gonna look like, no, I'm gonna look, no, I'm kidding, they're gone. I'm gonna just have a little good fun with Jordan. So please be here next Friday. Go watch Black Adam.
and be here. Yes.
Yeah, we already have that. Like, you know what? I will do everyone a little favor. If you just stick with me. What the fuck are you talking about? He literally turns 30 next week. What the hell are you talking about? He's 1 year older than me.
Yeah.
He's old. You're older than him. Here's the link. So click on it, hit on reminder, and next week, we will be here to talk about Black Adam.
Yes, and we'll be here to discuss all that, and maybe we'll have some surprises. We'll see what's going on, but hope you guys. Oh, I like how this comment. I don't think this person has commented yet, and yet they're saying, "Don't forget the fucking ending." As you guys know, we have to end it on a note. Even with this episode, a very special note, because literally it's the first clip in the video clip section, because it has to be at the top. As you guys know, we have to end on a special note, and pay attention as we're going to slowly discover more and more things over time with this clip as we play it. Look at the very beginning, in the middle. Look at Norris standing the way she stands. Look at how she stands, and appreciate the moment of Gracie Cicada. Enjoy.
Metas killed your parents, Gracie. They all deserve to die.
Don't believe him, Grace.
Don't believe. I like how he turned. Don't believe him.
Don't believe him, Grace.
Don't believe him, Grace. Don't believe him, Grace.
How dare you? How dare you?
Jesus. Yes, and rest in peace to the
Robert.
He was a great actor. Hagrid. He was in a lot of projects. At first I didn't realize it was him, but at least he's in a better place now, because apparently he was suffering, and he was declining in health. So
may rest in peace.
Yes. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next Friday. Bye, everybody.
Bye, cicada.
Oh, you said cicada.
I'm tired. Peace.